Europe has been put on notice as they are set to lose their global power position. That is today's major headline. We've got a lot to go over. We've got almost a dozen stories to go over in the Walk and Talk today. This is your time saver of the week. Let's get into it. The CEO of JP Morgan has sent a stern warning to Europe, which they pretty much couldn't even ignore because he did it at a big European conference. So pretty much everyone was there of importance, and he said Europe is about to lose their global dominance position. And we'll go over a couple of points here, but they currently have about 90% of the GDP of the US, and he has done his forecast, or his team more specifically, and they're going to be dropping down to about 65% GDP. So a couple of the warnings that are coming out, and you've heard this from President Trump amongst others as well, is that the EU is trying to tax the US tech companies, and they're saying now it's getting unfair because the EU didn't invest into any of their own tech companies. In fact, they tried to over-regulate them, so now they're trying to jeopardize the US position. So what were a lot of the warnings then? Well, they said, I've got them here: bureaucratic red tape, high taxation across the EU, rigid labour markets, energy dependency, and now they've done their self-sanctions with the Russian energy. There's so much here: underinvestment in key sectors like tech and defence, finance, slow growth models. And he's basically said Europe must take decisive action now, or it will become a backwater in the new global order. They love that word, don't they? The new world order, or the new global order. They love saying that at every opportunity. But yeah, I've looked over a couple of these models here, and it's not looking positive at all for Europe. They're going to have a lot of issues. Another one he pinpointed quite heavily was the energy dependency. He said that while the US has now taken the right approach with energy independence, the EU is still pushing for this green sort of agenda that he said is just unsustainable, and that it's backfired and just simply hasn't worked. All we've ended up with now is huge energy costs right across the continent and even in the UK. In fact, where I'm recording today, this is the beautiful Isle of Man, and I believe this is one of the highest energy costs in the world, if not the highest. But another thing that the report talks about is how Europe is declining now, and it's declining very heavily. And they didn't really talk about a lot of the key issues as to what's happening. I'm putting a small documentary together. It's probably going to be less than an hour long. And I say I'm putting it together. I've been working on it for the last year now. And it's all about the rise and fall of empires. And thankfully for AI, it's really helping me to track and piece together a lot of the information I was missing. Because we've got the history books on all the usual stuff, the Roman Empire, the Ottomans, and so many others that I wanted to look at, the British Empire. I mean, this is very recent history, but a lot of the empires that have come and gone, it's not really historical context if you think about it, because who writes the history? It's written by the victors. It's not written by the losers. So what we really have is a form of propaganda history as opposed to accurate history. So I'm going to put something together. I think you're going to really enjoy it, and it will be more of an accurate picture of what's actually happening with the different economies. If you look on average, and again I use AI to help me with this, it's about 250 years is the average age of an empire. And at the 250 year point, and again it's irrelevant of technology or speed or transport, logistics, it's kind of irrelevant of these things. There seems to be this magic number around 250 years when an empire begins to collapse. And a lot of people are probably watching this going, isn't America's 250 year anniversary next year, Neil? Yeah, I wasn't pointing to that at all, but yes it is. Another really interesting point is that the US has added $6 trillion of GDP in the last 10 years or the last decade, but Europe has added pretty much zero. It's just not growing, it's stagnating, and now their whole strategy around mass migration I mean, any economist could tell you that would not work, because one in doesn't equal one out. Recruiting someone or doing these sort of work visas are very highly skilled, highly educated people coming into a country, increases the GDP, but you know, that isn't the same across all continents and all people from around the world. It doesn't equal that. So this strategy that they sort of talked about with the mass migration for greater GDP, I don't know who authored that. It's obviously completely biased and based on a lot of falsehoods, because that is not the case at all. Another thing we've seen recently is a lot of capital fleeing Europe. Huge swathes of capital have been leaving the continent. And we're also seeing that with the UK as well. Obviously, UK isn't part of the EU anymore, but it's still on the European continent. So we're seeing a lot of capital fleeing. The UK's second highest, most millionaires fleeing in the world after China. But then you look at the size of the countries, UK versus China, and there's quite a disparity there. We also talked about the vote of no confidence a couple weeks back that was going to take place on the EU's most infamous lady, Ursula von der Leyen. And I was surprised most people were saying in the comments they didn't even know about this vote of no confidence, of them trying to kick her out. And I said, yeah, I don't think it's going to pass because of the way it's structured and the backing and the power that she has. But there's going to be a vote nonetheless. And that's actually what happened. We got the numbers here. She survived the vote. It was 175 to 360. So that just shows you how much power she has accumulated or amassed. And that was the whole point of the bill. That's the irony of it all. The whole point of the bill was that she had amassed so much power that they needed to get her out, and it didn't pass because she had so much power and they couldn't get her out. And let me read out what they said the main reason they wanted to get her out was. They said that EU governance under her leadership is becoming dangerously opaque and technocratic. Believe me, you do not want a technocratic government, although that's pretty much what a lot of us have got. Some MEPs from Hungary, Italy and Poland have already started informal talks about demanding her resignation before the end of her term. Let me tell you, ladies and gents, that is not going to happen. There's one thing around power, if you've ever studied it. And the thing is, and the sort of pattern is, people who have power don't want to give it up. And what do they want? People with power, they want more power. So she's not going to be going anywhere. If she resigns, I'd be very, very surprised indeed. Isn't it a beautiful day today? This is just gorgeous. It's one of the best days you can get here on the island. Next then, gold rises $3,300 an ounce. I don't know how many more months I can keep saying this. I've been saying this since last year. This gold rally is a result of, study history. Study all of these things and you'll understand what's happening with the geo-instability, the financial systems, everything that's going on here. You will understand. It makes perfect sense. It's not a surprise to anyone who studied this stuff. Gold responds to geopolitical instability. It responds to recessions, to financial fallouts when banks start collapsing. It responds to war. It responds to oil prices spiking. And not just gold, you're also seeing a new all-time high in Bitcoin at the moment. Why? Because it is getting mass adoption, mass institutional adoption, and they are starting to see it, which some of you won't like, I know, but they're starting to see it as a form of digital gold. I don't think it's ever going to replace physical gold. I think there will always be a place for that in any portfolio. But what has surprised me slightly is the amount of central bank buying, the amount of ETF buying, pension funds buying, institutional investors buying, retail investors. Doesn't surprise me. But the amount of buying now is even above my forecast. It is just going crazy. And that tells you something. It tells you something quite concerning regarding the economy. And I'll just give you one last final reminder, warning, whatever you want to say, that the gold and silver investing course that I've been recording for, I don't know how many months it's been now. It's been a long time, which is based on my 25 years experience of buying, selling, trading gold and silver. That course, I've now finished recording it. So it's been on sale for $197 for a while now, because the reason I do that, by the way, some people often say, why do you do this $197? It's because I charge that price when the course hasn't been finished. So that way I can record a module every week or a couple of modules every week. And then people are able to get it who might not be able to afford the full $2,000 price for a big course. Because remember, some of these courses are 20 hours long and they involve some of the top experts in the world. So it's not cheap to get these people in, amongst other things. And the advanced course is 6 to 8 of the world's top experts in gold and silver and trading and picking mining stocks, and got a geologist and all sorts of people in there. But anyway, my point is the first investing course is now ready. I finished recording it, so I am putting the price up on Monday. It will be $2,000 from Monday. So if you want to get it now for $197, you can grab it. The link is in the description below. Over to the UK economy then, and it always makes me laugh when I see a headline saying, UK GDP shrinks in May, shock report. The UK economy contracted by 0.1% in May against economists' forecast. They always say like, shock, economists shocked. Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, is shocked. No one saw this coming. Let me tell you, we saw this coming. I saw this coming very clearly. Many of you who follow this channel, very good at economics and finance. You know exactly how to read the charts like I read the charts. So it's just unbelievable to me when they keep putting out all these headlines. Oh, shock, no one saw this contraction coming. So that's 2 months of contraction now. Well, if you get one more month, you've now got a quarter of contraction. And if it continues for another quarter, we're now in a recession. Although they'll probably rewrite what a recession is. But if you were to actually deduct all the currency creation and quantitative easing and all the manipulation that they do, you're already in a recession. We've been in a recession for the last couple of years. But of course they change. Whoever's in politics changes the way all of these charts and all the data is presented. So it looks really strong for them. You remember what Biden did just after the lockdowns when all the jobs came back. He said he created the most amount of jobs of any president in US history, right? You remember that? No, he didn't. Everyone just went back to work. And that's why there was a massive spike in the jobs chart. You know, they all do these manipulations to make all the data look good. But Rachel Reeves, as usual, when she was asked for a comment on this, she said she was disappointed. You notice that's what she always says. It's always the same word, disappointed. But she's confident. So again, negative followed by a positive. Let's spin this. Positive, this will turn around later in the year. Well, they've been saying that for what, 3 years now? And no one ever goes, hold on. They've been saying that for 3 years. You know, no one ever says it. They're just like, oh, it's about to turn around because so-and-so said it's going to turn around. But one thing that no one is talking about is one of my charts flashed for me earlier today, which I was very surprised by, and that is car production in the UK, down by 12% year over year. That's a lot. 12% is a phenomenal drop in UK car production, and it's a big industry in the UK. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. But what are they focused on? Are they focused on the economy and growth and all this? No, they're focused on more and more escalation with Russia. So Britain and France have just formed a new nuclear pact, and they say this is in response to Russian aggression against them. It always makes me laugh when I see that it's Russian aggression against the Western economies. No, it's against Ukraine, and then the Western economy showed aggression against Russia in defense of Ukraine, right? I mean, that's basically the facts of it. And closely allied with Russia is, of course, Iran, which is a big topic at the moment. So what you'll see now is the media preparing you, and the government preparing you for future conflict with Iran. So they've done all the test cases now. You saw the responses, the British military, Royal Air Force got involved with everything going on with Iran and Israel. So there's always these sort of small tests first. This is just the military playbook as to how it relates to the public. So we've seen the tests. There wasn't really much response. People didn't say, oh, I don't want the British military getting involved in this conflict. You know, so because there was none of that, they're like, okay, we've done the little test now. Let's ramp this up. So now they're ramping it up. And the article that came out, actually I saw this about 5 times just today and yesterday. Iran poses a significant threat to the UK. This is a intelligence report. And it says that Iran is planning all of these attacks against the UK and UK citizens. Terror attacks, cyber attacks, all of the other stuff. Now, I'm not saying that this isn't true. It probably is true. But the thing that I always find surprising is that they use the word unprovoked. Iran is trying to, planning all these things against the UK unprovoked. Iran is doing this against the US or other countries unprovoked. Actually, the bottom line is that Iran has been on the Western targets for a long time now. A long time. It will be a war at some point in the future with Iran and some of the Western countries. It's inevitable. And Rubio from the US has just gone over to Asia, and that is not going too well at the moment from all accounts, trying to form some new alliances with the ASEAN bloc. So we'll have to keep our eye on that one, as Trump is imposing new 35% tariffs on Canada at the moment. So it's no wonder you're seeing a new all-time high in Bitcoin and gold price spiking with all of this instability going on and new tariffs. And ladies and gents, I don't think people are ready for what is coming. I really don't. There is going to be so much shifting in the next few years economically. I don't think people are prepared for it. And all these people that keep saying that, oh, the UK and Europe and whatever, oh, they're strong, they're so strong and powerful, and they're going to be growing, and we just need a good spell, and the growth is going to be coming back, and all this other stuff. Please read economics. You've got to have something that other people want if you're going to grow your GDP. There's not many countries that can do what the US does, which is a consumer-based spending GDP, which is 70% of the economy. You know, US still has the reserve currency of the world right now, although I don't think it will hold it deep into the future, but they still have it right now. But the US is playing this smart. They're investing heavily into their defense, into tech companies, into all sorts of industry, energy independence. They are playing it very, very clever. Whereas you compare that to Europe as a whole, and they're doing the exact opposite. They're trying to tax all of the US tech companies. So they're not creating anything, they're just taxing. They are expecting people, the citizens, to pay for all of these very high energy costs. They're not making the country or the countries or the bloc energy independent. Oh, look at this, it's so peaceful. I could just sit here and calm myself down from all of this news for a moment. How peaceful is that? Oh yeah, make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. Okay, that's just calmed me down so much, just listening to that stream a second there, that I can't even recall what I was going to talk about next that had me all fired up. So let me tell you an interesting story to end then. I haven't done one of these in a while. Here we go. Scientists are going to resurrect giant dinosaur species. I'm sure I watched a movie about this called Jurassic Park back in the day. Oh, the irony is we're walking through all the ferns and things here. But they're going to resurrect all of these. I'm sure didn't they resurrect the dire wolf or something like that this year? Well, now they've got these dinosaurs that they're going to resurrect. In a wild fusion of science and science fiction, scientists are reportedly launching a project to genetically resurrect a giant dinosaur species using CRISPR technologies. The goal is to reconstruct the DNA of a large herbivorous species from fossil remains and combine it with modern bird DNA to create a viable embryo. Critics warn of Jurassic Park-style overreach, ecosystem disruption, bioethics risks, and potential weaponization of these dinosaurs. I think they've been watching a little bit too much of these Jurassic Park series. Hey, you know, that's another thing actually. I don't know if you've noticed, but they don't seem to be making any new good movies, do they? Everything seems to be a rerun. I personally don't watch any of the modern day movies. The only one I watched was Top Gun 2, the newest Top Gun. That was it that I said, yeah, I liked that. There was no woke in there. There was no this or that. It was just good acting, good storyline, and exactly what I wanted to see in a movie. Apart from that, I haven't watched anything. I've given a couple of movies a try, but they've been so bad. The acting has been so bad and the storyline so bad. And you know, all the other stuff we won't even go into. Don't want to start offending people here. But it was just so bad, these movies now, that I said, nah, I can't even watch it. Some of the TV shows as well, really looking forward to these TV shows. Even the recreations of the TV shows, but they're just so terrible. They're absolutely terrible. Let me know if you think the same in the comments below. But on that note, remember, last chance for the Gold and Silver course. And then I am starting from this Saturday, so tomorrow or whenever you watch this video, the first 2 modules of the advanced course will be out. So if you've already paid for the advanced course, you will get your first 2 modules tomorrow. I've recorded half of the interviews already, so it's going well. I've just got to edit them because they're obviously very long. Some of them are 2 hours long. So you got some great learning coming up, as well as any of the other courses. There's so much for you to learn for your own personal development. And if you're a business, remember, you can offset the cost. You can claim it back against your business because this is all part of your personal development and investing and everything else. So that is it for today. Thank you so much. Remember to check out the course link below in the description and the pinned comment. Apart from that, thank you for being a subscriber here. Take care. God bless you. God bless your family. And I hope you have a beautiful weekend.